And for all of you out there, I hope your offices are super cozy and cushiony. You lint lickers, I hope you step on a Lego and the screams and cries of these children haunt you guys for the rest of your lives, because there is a special place in a certain dark pit for you. That's all I'm gonna say. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. My name is Savannah, and today we're going to be talking about a bill that was presented in California last week that basically the Democrats want to encourage child sex trafficking, but we'll get to that in a minute. But first, do not forget to comment, like, subscribe on all of the things listed down below, because Lord knows when I'll get put in timeout again.
California lawmakers in the Assembly Public Safety Committee today blocked a bill that would have defined human trafficking of a child a serious felony. This would have made it a strikeable offense, meaning it could put people convicted of trafficking children away for longer if they are convicted of trafficking them again. Right now, those convicted are eligible for early release credits, meaning their sentences can be significantly reduced. Supporters say this measure would have changed that. But opponents say more prison time doesn't get to the root of the problem, and say there are already laws on the books that can put traffickers away for a significant amount of time.
Because we, of course, don't want to put
This bill was halfway through the legislative process. It passed unanimously through the state Senate with broad bipartisan support.
Honestly, none of that is surprising from the Democrats at this point, but I would just like to point out the fact that in general, Republicans and Democrats are so hard-headed with each other that when an opposing party does something that legitimately might actually be a good idea, but simply because the opposing party thought of it first, they don't want to talk about it or touch it because, you know, rhinos and elephants, they apparently just can't be friends even though they live on the same freaking African plain. So House Bill SB 14 was originally introduced in December of 2022. And this page, I just have to say, it's 1 page long. It's 5 sections. And the summary of it is repeat offenders of child sex trafficking. It's a crime. You're punishable if you do this. We're going to put that up on the pedestal with murder and arson and theft or robbing a bank, which honestly, if you ask me, child sex trafficking should probably be a little bit higher up there when it comes to heinous crimes. Democrats in California apparently don't want to overflow their prison systems because it's too harsh of a punishment. They get a slap on the wrist right now. It's okay. They had a change of heart. No, they don't. They don't get a change of heart. As we heard in the movie The Sound of Freedom that came out 3 weeks ago now, I think it was, you can sell a container of cocaine once, but you can sell a child dozens and dozens of times every night. Of course, they don't want to stop something like this because, you know, it's where the money is. And it's sick. So presently in California, if someone gets caught trafficking anybody, a person, which is a horrendous crime, apparently the only punishment that they will receive is if they have 5, 8 to 12 years and a fine of no more than $500,000. Personally, I think that if you traffic a little 8-year-old girl, you should be sent to Guantanamo Bay and we never hear from you ever again. But Democrats in California think otherwise. And they voted down a bill, which I mentioned earlier, would make these repeat offenders go to prison for life instead of getting a simple 5-year slap on the wrist and go ruin other families and little kids' lives by sexually exploiting children. So the woman who wins the record for shortest bill being written in California is Senator Shannon from District 12. So as of right now in the state of California, human trafficking is considered a non-serious and non-violent crime. This lady is simply trying to make the punishment for trafficking children a little bit worse, because you would think we would all be able to agree on that in this day and age. Does anyone else not get cringy goosebumps all over their body when they think about that we have grown men and women in America who want to have sexual relationships with a child who cannot consent, does not want this, and will forever be scarred from the trauma? But what do Democrat politicians do? They vote this down, as evidenced by the fact that this bill was originally blocked by the Public Safety Committee. Now that's an ironic name, isn't it? Shouldn't the Public Safety Committee be the people that are pushing this the hardest? But no, they don't want your community safe at all. They want them filled with crime and drugs, so they make more money off of the poor peasants that are their voters. So up until this point, both sides of each party somehow, someway, all unanimously joined together and agreed that yes, we should do something to fight child trafficking. But as soon as it got to the Public Safety Committee, 6 Democrats voted no. All I have to say to you guys is, first of all, I want an audit of your bank account, and every time you ever check into a hotel again, I have a fine assumption of what you guys were doing there, because there is no way on God's green earth that you could be against something as wholesome as this unless you had something to do with it, whether that be financially or a demonic satanic get off for which I cannot wrap my head around. And for all of you out there, I hope your offices are super cozy and cushiony. You lint lickers, I hope you step on a Lego and the screams and cries of these children haunt you guys for the rest of your lives, because there is a special place in a certain dark pit for you. That's all I'm gonna say. But don't take my righteous anger for this. Why don't we just go straight to the good book from the Lord himself in Matthew 18:6, where he literally tells you guys it would be better for you guys to put a millstone around your own neck and go die in the sea than it would be to hurt one of these children. You guys had the chance to protect them, and what do you guys do? Nothing! So thankfully, they did end up revoting and passing unanimously. But that is only thanks to one Gavin Newsom, ironically, and pigs must be flying, because I'm going to say Gavin Newsom actually did something right here. Now, one could argue that the Democrats and Newsom were only doing this because, well, we all got pissed at them, and we called them out, and rightfully so as well. But whether or not Newsom did it because he needed to save face, because he's on a presidential ticket, or because he actually does care, personally, I don't care either way, because in the end, children are going to be helped as a result of it, and I don't care if it was a Democrat or a Republican who wrote it, pushed it, and passed it, as long as the outcome ends up protecting the children. That, I hope and pray that we can all continue to agree on. So yay, California finally did something right. But this is not the first time that they have tried to do this. They actually tried to do this back in April of 2022, but instead of, child sex trafficking, it was just simply human sex trafficking. And the Democrats voted it down again. And you know what? A certain Senator Scott Weiner, actually was one of the senators voting it down, said that a 12-year penalty for the crime is just too harsh. All I gotta say is boo-hoo. Oh my gosh, child sex traffickers are getting a harsh penalty for doing one of the most horrendous things that you could possibly do to a human being and to a minor. Oh my goodness, how sad. Senator Weiner, are you prepping for the future when you get caught? Maybe that's too harsh to say, but still. I just have to say, it's rather interesting, though, amidst all of this news about Sound of Freedom and California doing something right for once in their existence, the Biden administration took off their official website that they are going to be going after, child sex trafficking, and that's one of the things that they consider to be an important topic amongst the American people. Very secretly, very quietly, and they didn't even announce it to anybody. And I have to say, saying nothing does in fact speak volumes. So amongst everything that the Biden administration deleted from the DOJ's website, they also removed the following paragraph, which reads, "After cultivating a relationship with the child and engendering a false sense of trust, the trafficker will begin exchanging the child in prostitution and use physical, emotional, and psychological abuse to keep the child trapped in a life of prostitution. It is common for traffickers to isolate victims by moving them far away from friends and family, altering their physical appearances, and continuously moving them to new locations. Victims are heavily conditioned to remain loyal to the trafficker and to distrust law enforcement." Now, this was all changed back in May, but we only discovered it recently, and it's all just a little bit too coincidental for me. But I just have to ask, why delete all of this in the first place? Shouldn't this be something that we all, no matter what party, religion, race, or creed, or whatever we come from, should all be able to agree that human trafficking and definitely child sex trafficking is a horrendous and awful thing? Have we really fallen so far that stopping or trying to prohibit or wanting to end child sex trafficking truly has become a conservative main issue because we have been so divisive with each other on everything else? If so, then this is utterly heartbreaking. So California voted down a human trafficking bill in 2022. It happened again in 2023. They re-voted on it. It passed. And to say it didn't spark outrage across the United States of America would be an understatement. Sound of Freedom came out, and we are finally bringing light to something that is horrendous and evil as human and child sex trafficking. Have we really become so divided with each other that we cannot agree with everybody around us that maybe, just maybe, that we should be fighting against something as horrendous as this, and then leave the arguments about taxes and drag queens for another day? Let's table that for later. All I'm going to say is I know where I stand, and I know that I stand with God in the sense of Matthew 18:6, because if the Lord says to tie a millstone around your neck and to throw yourself in the sea if you're going to hurt a child, then I'm definitely going to go with that political take than anything else that the Democrats or Republicans end up dishing out in the future. As a very wise president once said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And since when did this discussion of human sex trafficking have to be so bipartisan? It's either this or that. Why not? We just come together as fellow man and agree that maybe, just maybe, modern day slavery should be eradicated. We love to talk about slavery that happened in the past, but no one wants to talk about the ones that are going on right now. And just to be clear to everyone out there, we have more slavery today in 2023 than we have had in the history of the existence of people. And that is pathetic. And if we cannot come together to end that, there truly is no hope for the human race. And I'm gonna say that the reason why so many politicians and judges and people in power are against that is because they're involved in it in the first place. And it's up to us as the people to stop them and to take away their power. And we are only going to be able to do that if we get mad and get even, because the politicians and all of them evil people, they're not playing fair. So when it comes to the endangerment of children, their lives and their bodies, I would say we should stop playing fair too and actually go for the throat.